Ricky Hatton tipped for special honor only one other British boxer has received. Ricky Hatton could join a fellow British boxing great in a prestigious Hall of Fame. Ricky Hatton could be in line to receive a distinguished accolade in the wake of his death. Hatton died at his home in Greater Manchester on September 14 at the age of just 46. He was found unresponsive in his bedroom. An inquest heard on Thursday. An inquest was opened into his death at South Manchester Coroner's Court, with coroner Alison Much announcing the cause of death. It is understood that the ex-world champion took his own life. Thousands of mourners paid tribute to Hatton for his funeral procession as they lined the streets in Manchester, before a private memorial service at the city's cathedral took place. They celebrated his legendary career that took him to the United States, including Las Vegas, Nevada, where he had some of the biggest nights of his storied career. He fought both Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao at Las Vegas' iconic MGM Grand Garden Arena. Hatton also beat Juan Urango, Jose Luis Castillo and Paolo Malignaggi in the fight capital of the world, with an army of fans traveling across the pond to watch the hitman in action. Given his association with Las Vegas, he could be inducted into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, NVBHOF. "He was such a great guy," said a contact at the NVBHOF. "We were looking forward to hosting Ricky here in Vegas and celebrating his boxing career and the epic fights that he had here on our Las Vegas Strip." As things stand, Lennox Lewis is the only British fighter who has been inducted into the NVBHOF. But Lewis, who fought Evander Holyfield in Las Vegas, could be joined by Hatton in the near future. Ricky Hatton's career in Las Vegas. Hatton made his Las Vegas debut in January 2007 when he fought Urango. He beat him by unanimous decision to win the IBF and vacant IBO light welterweight titles, defending the ring strap in the process. Hatton returned to Las Vegas in his following fight, beating Castillo at the Thomas & Mack Center. The MGM Grand Garden Arena housed Hatton's showdown against Mayweather. He had a Manchester homecoming in his next fight before returning to Sin City when he beat Malignaggi. Hatton once again graced the MGM Grand Garden Arena with his clash against Pacquiao. Ricky Hatton's son speaks out as inquest told boxing legend took his own life. Campbell Hatton has reflected on recent events regarding the passing of his father. Campbell Hatton has opened up on how his family are coping following the death of his father Ricky Hatton. Boxing icon Hatton, who was 46, was found dead at his home in Greater Manchester on September 14 as local police said there were no suspicious circumstances and referred his death to the coroner. His funeral took place last week as thousands of mourners lined up the streets during the procession before a private memorial service at the city's cathedral. On Thursday, a first inquest hearing following the death of Hatton took place at South Manchester Coroner's Court in Stockport. Senior coroner Alison Much oversaw the inquest's opening as the court was told that the ex-world champion was found unresponsive at his home. The provisional cause of death was judged as hanging ahead of a full inquest set for March 20, 2026. Speaking to Good Morning Britain before the start of the inquest, Campbell reflected on his late father's passing and the love shown at his funeral. He said, "Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind the last few weeks. Obviously, we've been leading up to the funeral, which was unbelievable to see the amount of love everyone had for my dad. There were thousands in the streets, and there was a lot of comfort to take from that," he added, before revealing how his family are coping with the tragic loss. "It has been very up and down, really, but just as a family, we're trying to take each day at a time, really," the 24-year-old explained on the funeral. Campbell said, "He always said he was more proud of his fanbase than all the belts and his titles. Surprised is probably the wrong word because it was obvious how much he was loved by the amount of people that followed him all over the world to watch him box. To actually see everyone in the streets, it was a very long route that we went down, and there was never a point where the streets weren't full. To actually see it in terms of the amount of people, it was surreal really. If you've been affected by any of these issues and want to speak to someone in confidence, please don't suffer alone. Call Samaritans for free on their anonymous 24-hour phone line on 116 123. Ricky Hatton made heartbreaking comment to friend off camera before his death. Legendary British boxer Ricky Hatton died aged 46, with his funeral taking place on Friday the 10th of October at Manchester Cathedral. The late Ricky Hatton made a heartbreaking comment which suggested he was not aware of the love he had from his adoring fanbase. Hatton, 46, was found dead at his Greater Manchester home by close friend and manager Paul Speak on September 14. The father of three had been training for a return to the ring in December, an exhibition against Isa Al-Dar in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Tributes for the former two-weight world champion flooded in, with many recalling memories of his stunning world title win over Kostya Tszyu in Manchester. Hatton then fought Floyd Mayweather in Las Vegas, where 30,000 fans traveled to support him, as well as succumbing to a defeat to Manny Pacquiao in Sin City. But despite his soaring popularity, Hatton's struggles with mental health were well documented, and in an interview discussing his shock death, former cruiserweight champion Johnny Nelson shared insight into the doubts the hitman had and the mask he put on. According to Nelson, Hatton thought he was a failure and a laughingstock despite his incredible career achievements. Speaking to Boxing King Media, Nelson said, "Can you imagine how lonely he was in his head? His mental state, he spoke about it often, and I gather he was in good spirits. I gather what people saw before this was discovered, it was positive. But I just think, Ricky, if he could look down now and see all the love, the outpour of love from around the world for him, then he'd believe that he wasn't a failure and he didn't let people down, that he wasn't a laughingstock. In his head, he thought he was. Off camera he'd say, 'Do you think they're P*******, get off with me?' He couldn't see the love, and maybe that was the facade, the smile and the jovial Ricky that we saw out and about. That was a mask. That facade that everyone's fallen in love with, his thinking, 'You don't really know me, this is me at home when the doors are shut.' You can kind of understand him thinking that way, and you've got to be in a dark, low place to think that about yourself." Peter Fury made tragic Hatton admission. Similarly, Peter Fury, uncle of former world heavyweight champion Tyson, opened up on a conversation he had with Hatton in the days leading up to his tragic death. According to boxing trainer Fury, Hatton had told him, "When you've got someone on your shoulder and putting doubts in your mind," he said, "it's a difficult thing to shake off." Fury added that Hatton almost had a person on his shoulder, telling him he was no good. Details of Hatton's funeral have been released by Hatton's family, with a midday service set for Friday, October 10th at Manchester Cathedral. The procession